A Michigan business owner and a used car salesman disagree about the details of a verbal agreement to purchase a company van.
All the cars I have got from him was always in decent condition.
So I brought the van to Michigan. She says she doesn't want it no more. I'm like, if you don't want it, you're gonna lose your money.
You know you're not gonna get a Tesla. You know you're not gonna get a Lexus. You're gonna get what you get for $2,000.
And later, owners of a Missouri EMS academy demand payment from a firefighter after he left school to pursue his dream job.
We're a small business. We run on our tuition.
They basically told me not to take the opportunity. I made the decision to take my dream job.
Did you expect him to turn that job down?
Plaintiff LaShawna Hall says she paid the defendant to buy her a used van, but she never received a vehicle suitable for her needs. She's suing for a refund for a van. Defendant Salah Al-Shara says he doesn't know because the money was a deposit and he provided LaShawna with van options within her budget, but she refused all of them.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Hall versus Al-Shara.
Thank you, Juan. LaShawna Hall?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant, Salah Al-Shara?
Yes, ma'am.
For $2,000 for a refund for a van you say you purchased from him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so as I understand it, you buy cars from an auction?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then sell them to individuals?
Yes.
And you approached the defendant about buying cars from him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many cars have you purchased from him total?
Maybe about 4.
4 cars?
Yes.
And so whenever you need a vehicle, he's one of the people you call
Yes,
to see
Your
if he
Honor.
can get a car from an auction
Yes.
from you? We're here today because you want a refund for one of the last cars you purchased from him, which was a van.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me from the beginning about when you called him and you talked to him about getting 2 cars from him at this
Correct.
point, right? Okay, tell
Yes.
me about that conversation.
I called him in December of 2015, and I asked him if he could get me a work van for work. I own a cleaning service. So I had a big contract coming up. So I said, can you get me a work van and a vehicle for my son?
For how much money?
For $2,000 each, a total of $4,000.
A car and a van.
Yes.
So what you know you're not gonna get a Tesla, you know you're not gonna get a Lexus, you're gonna
Right.
get what you get for $2,000.
Right, but he knew what I wanted. All the cars I have got from him was always in decent condition. So he knew I didn't want anything beat up. He showed me pictures, and that's the car I picked out, was a 2007 Dodge. It was a white van. He said
Okay.
he was gonna get that car, and then that would be that.
Did you get that van?
No, I never got that van. To
What
this
did you
day.
get?
I got nothing. But I got the tours for my son. That's all I got.
How do you then get into a van that you were just using in the meantime? Tell me about
Because
that.
the job came up for me to do, I had no vehicle. So I said, how are you going to compensate me? He said, well, you can use this vehicle, which I have pictures of the vehicle he let me use to get back and forth to work and transfer my items.
Until when?
Until he got me a vehicle.
So he said, I'll let you drive around in this van and use it.
Yes.
And you paid him $2,000 to do that?
No, I paid him previously $2,000 for the white van, the 2007. I gave him that money up front because he said he had to get it back here.
Now, tell me about the agreement you say you had with the plaintiff.
I went online like I usually buy my cars, and from auctions from all around the state. And I found that one van was 2007 white. And it was like several other vans that I sent her picture to her phone. I'm like, pick one.
She gave you $2,000 for that van.
She gave me a deposit. I purchased it from New York auction.
Okay.
I had to go all the way to New York to pick up that van.
For that one van?
That one van, because she was in a rush. She wanted like right away. She needed for her work. So I'm like, okay, I'll go there and get it. It was winter, snow, everywhere. So I brought the van to Michigan, and I called her next day, and I'm like, I got the van. You want to come and check it out? Prior to that, I sent her the pictures. The van has some kind of like accident, like minor accident in the front. She said, okay, how much will it cost to get it fixed? I'm like, it's like $500, maybe $700 tops. And she's like, well, I don't want to spend more than $2,000. I'm like, then I cannot give you that 2007 for $2,000, and I have to put money from my pocket to get it fixed.
Let me see the photo. That's the van that you say was a temporary van you were
Do a
driving
temporary
around?
van. Why would I
little
purchase
dents
that?
in it.
I gotta
This
put
is
my
like-
company name on there. Who wants to ride around with the van beat up? I never bought a vehicle beat up.
You know, why would I even do that to her? I've been dealing with her for 7 or 8 years.
Who submitted these text messages to me?
I did, Your Honor. That's how he mostly likes to talk, is through text messages.
Okay, Thursday, January 21st, you send him a text and you tell him, if I keep this van, I need some of my money back. Not indicating that you just have a ride that you're using temporarily.
Exactly.
Because why would you tell him, if I keep this van, I'll need some of my money back?
Your Honor, if you go back and look through the texts, it states that it was a temporary van. But at the time, I still didn't have my van.
I don't see that in the text messages. You tell him on the loaner van that you've now testified to me about, I need the title by Friday or I want my money back. He responds, bring the van back and take the Taurus. And I'll give you the money for the van because I'm going to take a loss on the van. I didn't know that it had more damage, but that's how cars work when you buy them at the auction. Clearly, you purchased this van. It wasn't a loaner that you had for a week. You stick with that story, you've lost all credibility with me, all of it.
Coming up, the disagreement over the van purchase takes an ugly turn.
He called me and he kept like threatening me on the phone. I know where you live, I'm gonna blow your house, I'm gonna kill your family. There is some stuff I can't even say.
And later, an EMS academy demands payment from a former student.
I got a call from St. Louis City Fire Department. They wanted to hire me, so I had to go through their fire academy, and it conflicted with going to paramedic school.
Did you formally withdraw at some point, or did you just stop showing up?
Plaintiff LaShawna Hall says Sala didn't provide her with a vehicle option that was suitable for her business needs. She's suing for a refund for a van. Defendant Salah Al-Shara says he doesn't know because the money was a deposit, and LaShawna bought the van as is.
So what happened with the second van? How did you get that van back into your possession?
She says she doesn't want it no more. I'm like, if you don't want it, you're gonna lose your money because this is the second van I bought for you. That's when I have a call from her boyfriend. He called me and he kept like threatening me on the phone. I know where you live, I got my boys, I'm gonna blow your house, I'm gonna kill your family, I'm gonna this. There is some stuff I can't even say. And I did submit it.
Who was calling him, leaving him those messages?
I don't even know it.
Didn't nobody call him and leave him no message? My friend, I told him the situation. He was like, well, you know, since your husband is not around, my husband is deceased. He was like, maybe he'll deal better with a guy. He called him, and Salon, like how he's talking now, this is the front. This is not how he talks. He's got very disrespectful.
Well, he says he has a
called him black
voicemail.
monkey, told him that he see why my husband is dead. This is all is a front for you.
Did you say those things to her?
No. I told her, you're pushing some guys over to me to threatening me and they want to kill me and everything. I think that's why your ex-husband died, because you probably pushed him to this situation.
Let me hear the voicemail. No one talk.
When people give you deposit on things and you can't produce that they gave you deposit on, you give them their money back. That's only right, man. You want to sit up here and try to get over on a woman. But if somebody was to do your lady like that, your sister, your daughter, or something like that, you would have a problem. So therefore, be prepared for whatever, whether it's jail or hell.
So you're telling her that's why her husband's dead, and in response, someone tells you, be prepared for jail or hell.
Yes.
So I guess y'all even, because eventually, as we peel back the layers in these cases, the truth eventually starts to reveal itself. The first van he got, you saw the photos, it looked good, but it needed more repairs. You don't want to pay more than $2,000, so that didn't work out for you. Second van came along, it was damaged. You didn't like that one either. So you want another van, you want your money back, either way. Legally, he didn't have to do any of those things. The cars that you purchased for $2,000, if it needed more repairs, it needs more repairs. Legally, the second one, if you didn't like it, oh well. You have it, you bought it, it's an as-is sale, it's yours. But then you go on to have conversations with him and you are expressing your dissatisfaction. So then you turn around and you have a conversation with her via text. Bring the van back and I'll give you the money for the van. That, sir, was your mistake in the case. She made a bunch of mistakes, but that was your mistake. Because frankly, you didn't have to do that. It was a done deal. And without this text message, we'd be done in this case today, and you'd be out of $2,000. But what happened is you basically renegotiated the terms of this agreement. because she did bring that second van back. And you did tell her you would give her the money back and you would sell the van and take a loss. How much did you sell that van for?
I lost about $700.
That wasn't my question. What?
$1,300.
So in fairness, in this case, the $1,300 that you sold the van for, I'm gonna order you to return that to the plaintiff. Why? Because you said you would. These are your text messages. These are your words. $1,300 judgment for the plaintiff.
He's a liar, and he's not fair, and he's a scam artist.
The judge says, I didn't even have to pay her any money back, but I was trying to be nice.
Plaintiffs Donna Weiss and Tony Milan say the defendant took some courses at their academy and then quit but never paid off his outstanding tuition balance. They're suing for unpaid school tuition. Defendant Lawrence Adams says he doesn't know because he left the academy to take a dream job as a firefighter and offered a tuition settlement, but it was refused.
Donna Weiss.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Tony Milan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant, Lawrence Adams.
Yes, Your Honor.
For $5,000 you say he owes you for unpaid school tuition.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
You are the owners of a school in Missouri.
Yes, Your Honor. St. Peters, Missouri.
What kind of school is it?
We are EMS Academy that teaches EMT and paramedics so that they can take their national certification test.
Okay, and you've submitted photos to the court. I'll take a look at those now. That's the EMS Academy.
Yes, Judge, that is our school.
So we like to train with a lot of the agencies in our area. We want to make sure that they're well prepared, that we interact with the fire, helicopters, local ambulance districts.
Okay, Mr. Adams.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were a student in the academy?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
From, I would say, August 2015 to December 2015.
And what were you studying there?
Paramedic school.
Why did you decide to go to the academy?
Well, I'm an EMT wildland firefighter from California. I'm from Los Angeles. I got called from a relative in St. Louis. He said, you know, it's more opportunities out here to pursue your career as a structured firefighter in St. Louis.
So were you a firefighter here in California?
Yes, I was.
Okay, why did you apply to paramedic school? You've obviously already received training to be a firefighter. Why did you need both?
Well, wildland and structured firefighting is two different things. Wildland is on the mountain and structure is going into houses, so it's two different things. I wanted to transition from wildland to structure, and if you have your paramedic license, you get more salary if you have a paramedic rather than EMT.
And how long would it take you to get a paramedic's license?
I believe a year.
If you stayed in school?
A year.
Okay, why did you leave?
I got a call from St. Louis City Fire Department, and they wanted to hire me, so.
As a structured firefighter, which is what you wanted to do?
Correct. I had to go through their fire academy, and it conflicted with going to paramedic school.
So you dropped out of school?
I was 3 months in when they gave me the call saying they wanted to hire me.
And we're here because he left school, and you say that he still owes tuition for the academy.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you enrolled in August of 2015, did you formally withdraw at some point, or did you just stop showing up?
I got the opportunity. They called me, and I called them right away and let them know that I have this great job opportunity, dream job of mine that I've been waiting on. They basically told me not to take the opportunity.
Did you expect him to turn that job down?
No,
Being
Your
a
Honor.
firefighter?
No,
because
Your
that's what
Honor.
he's there to do, right? To learn, to get this paramedic course so he can get his dream job. But then he gets his dream job.
Your Honor, there's a firefighter, paramedic. And in St. Louis, in our surrounding areas, in order to become a paid firefighter, you normally have to become a paramedic first. And it wasn't until after he had gone through the program or started going through the program that apparently the opportunity had arose. We're a small business, and we're not a university, and so we run on our tuition. Our policy is always that everybody pays before they come, unless you present us with a situation where you can't afford it. We'll put you on a payment policy.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the contract is called into question.
So the policy is that if he withdraws and he cannot pay anymore, that he's still responsible for the balance.
See, that part, it doesn't say.
Plaintiffs Tony Milan and Donna Weiss say Lawrence signed a payment contract. They're suing for unpaid school tuition. Defendant Lawrence Adams says he doesn't owe the remaining balance because he left the academy early to take his dream job.
What was the tuition for the entire year that he was supposed to pay?
$95.50.
$95.50. And most students pay that money up front. And they're enrolled in the university, and you have a policy about refunds. But
Yes,
his case is different because he didn't pay up front. You allowed him to finance the tuition over the course of the year that he would be there. And so you were there for 3 months, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you paid a total of how much during those 3 months?
I put $2,500 down, and I was paying like $750 a month.
So what's the total you paid, sir?
I would say...
Do you have that number?
His total balance at this time, $57.70, I believe is his balance.
$57.70?
And that includes late fees.
So he paid about $3,700. Did you receive a manual about how withdrawals work from the academy?
No.
Did he receive a copy of the manual?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything that indicates he received a copy of the manual? Do they have to initial something? Do
Yes,
they
Your
have
Honor.
to? Okay, let me see that.
On the day of orientation, when we go through our policy and procedure manual, we really hit about absences. And after they get their policy and procedure manual and some other items, they actually have to sign saying that they were in receipt of that. So the policy is that if he withdraws and he cannot pay anymore, that he's still responsible for the balance, and that's what our tuition contract is for.
But
is
it
that
doesn't
if he-
say that. See, that part it doesn't say. Because the tuition contract talks about refunds, but it doesn't address the fact that when a student withdraws, they still have to pay if they're financing their education with the academy. Most universities, academies, they have a procedure set up for if you're in school for a certain number of months and you leave, they address the issue of refunds, right? How much you will be entitled to. But again, this is not about a refund. This is about, does he have to continue to make these monthly payments on the schedule when he's not there because he got his job as a firefighter? Did you all not try to resolve this? How did this become a lawsuit?
I did, Your Honor. I called while I was in the fire academy with the city of St. Louis. I called and said, you know, I have $2,500 today. I could bring it down and settle all of this because I got an email saying they were about to sue me.
Okay,
So
and
I
you didn't
called.
want to accept the $2,500?
Your Honor, at the time when Mr. Adams left, he was supposed to keep paying from December until the present. And he didn't pay. When he left class, he stopped making a payment.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
I reviewed your contract. I reviewed the policy manual. There's some ambiguity in your paperwork because of the financing issue. It's clear. If someone pays up front, this is what they have to do. But then we have an issue where it's being financed over the course of the academy. And what happens when someone withdraws because they get a job as a firefighter, what they want to do, what they signed up for? I think you need to add language to your paperwork about what happens in a situation where it's being financed and these payments have not been made. And I think in all fairness, his settlement offered, there's $5,000 remaining. He was only there for 3 months. His settlement offer of $2,500 was fair. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, sir, I'm ordering you to pay the $2,500 you offered to settle this case. I think that's a fair settlement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
$2,500, judgment for the plaintiffs. By the way, I admire the work you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Thank you, thank you.
We probably need to go back and look at some of our paperwork and button up some of the holes that she pointed out to us.
What I love about being a firefighter is I get to save lives, I get to protect the community I serve. It's the best job in the world. Later on down the line, I plan on becoming a paramedic, firefighter, going back to paramedic school.
An Arizona nanny with questionable social media boundaries confronts a divorcee who claims she kept his kid's car seat.
He decided to text me late at night, not even 12 hours beforehand, to tell me, you know what, I no longer need you to come in.
I got the sonogram picture, and about 5 minutes later, I get this bill. It's just like, you know, it's kind of creeping me out. I've had enough. I knew it was the last time we're going to do business.
But it's not just because of the photos. You said that you thought that she was interested in you.
Plaintiff Rebecca Conrad says the defendant hired her for nanny services, but then unexpectedly fired her, and now he's refusing to pay his outstanding bill. She's suing for unpaid wages for nanny services and related expenses. She's accompanied in court today by her boyfriend, Kyle Anderson. Defendant Gordon Rose says he doesn't know because Rebecca kept several of his personal belongings after he was forced to part ways with her when she started acting weird and tried hitting on him several times. He's accompanied in court today by John Rayo.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Conrad versus Rose.
Thank you, Juan. Rebecca Conrad.
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Gordon Rose,
Yes.
for $4,216.
Yes,
That
Your Honor.
includes $440 in unpaid wages, $48 for mileage reimbursement, $580 in medical fees, $80 for late rent fees, $2,240 in lost wages, $520 for your boyfriend's lost wages, $300 for 2 counseling sessions, court cost and service fees. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this, or do you feel you included everything? Okay.
That's correct.
Everybody else is good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's start from the beginning, Ms. Conrad. I understand that you were the defendant's nanny. At some
Correct.
point, you worked as his nanny. Why don't you tell me about how that relationship happened and why you're suing him today?
I met Gordon on a website called care.com. It's a nanny hiring service. So I showed up, I met the children, and he said I seemed very natural with them, and right away he wanted to hire me.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you overall before you get to your lawsuit?
For the lawsuit, he was actually great. He was one of the best clients I've ever had.
Okay.
He even recommended me to another one of my clients and said I was the best nanny he's ever had. Everything was great up until the very end.
Okay, and Mr. Rose, I will hear from you. You hired Ms. Conrad before we discussed the lawsuit, before the breakdown in your relationship happened, obviously. What kind of nanny was she?
She was a great nanny. You know, my kids loved her. She was great to them. They got along good. She took my baby out all the time to the library, did some nice things. So I got no complaints there whatsoever.
Okay, now today you're suing him for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one of those things is $440 for unpaid wages. Tell me about the basis for your lawsuit.
So what happened was I nannied for him for a couple of months, and I was supposed to have come in on a Monday. Well, the Friday before that Monday, I was supposed to come in mid-March. He decided to text me late at night, not even 12 hours beforehand, to tell me, you know what, I no longer need you to come in.
Why did you say you no longer needed her services?
Because she started texting me pictures in the middle of the night. I was on a business trip to New York.
Okay.
I just recently got divorced. I was kind of on a crazy wild time, and I met this gal online. I asked her to marry me after 3 days. It was epic in the Waldorf. She said yes. Anyway, so she gets all jealous because she had a thing for me the whole time. She always flirted with me
Really?
and stuff.
No. Okay,
She always
first
flirted
off-
with me. It's my turn to speak, right? My turn.
Go on.
She sent me pictures in the middle of the night with like her feet on a coffee table. There's this one where there's this coffee cup with a little snail kind of cantilevering over the teacup. I'm like, this is weird. So I started getting this weird vibe
And you
from her.
took that as
She said, well, she says, I'm
what?
breaking up with my boyfriend. I have the text right here. Can I move to New York with you and your family? I'm like,
But
what?
with you and your family to be your nanny.
To be my nanny, but it's
Which I've been
prefaced with,
offered before from multiple clients.
we got weird pictures. I think you have them, Judge.
Show me the text messages.
Oh, sure. I got them right here. They're wonderful.
So you say that she wanted to move to New York to be your nanny, and that meant what to you?
That meant that she was already sending me weird pictures, so that meant she was kind of creeping on me, and I wasn't comfortable. So the point is,
No.
you're asking me why I kind of backed off and gave her that quick notice. I was starting to feel uncomfortable, Your Honor.
Are you her boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there when she sent the picture.
This is the April Fool's Day is when I got her sonogram, by the way, which is hilarious. That's when all my baby stuff goes missing. The one I don't have on there, Judge, is in my bad, but I had a coffee cup of her at midnight sending me that stuff. Did you see that one?
It was not midnight. It's just a cute little teacup. And I sent it to everyone in my phone, and he thinks that I'm trying to go after him.
It's
and
not
be
like
his
she's sending
girlfriend.
you sexy selfies
No,
or
but she would
something
come
like
up like
that.
I'd come up in the morning,
it's
it'd
like
be
these
7 a.m. I'd have
random-
my T-shirt on, I'd be coming up, she'd give me those eyes. You know how it goes. You give me
Really?
the eyes. Yeah,
Really?
you give me the eyes.
I need
Seriously.
yours. Really?
I had to talk to him.
Why would I go for someone like you?
Is this you?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. That's my ultrasound, letting everybody know that I was pregnant. I let my family know, my friends, my clients, everybody know, because I was about to start a family and I wasn't going to be nannying anymore.
But you don't say that in a text, you just send in the photo?
Yeah, that was supposed to be for another group of my friends.
Okay. You don't respond to this, so you don't know that you're sending him these photos after
Correct.
the first time it happens?
Correct. I did not know. If he would have responded, then I would have been like, I'm sorry, that was unprofessional. I didn't mean to send it.
Okay.
But I had no response. I didn't realize that I
Right,
went
he
to
did
it.
not respond. But then your response is, okay, this is weird. I don't want her to work for me anymore. But it's not just because of the photos. You said that you thought that she was interested in
Oh,
you.
yes. She was obviously interested in me the whole time.
Yeah.
it's quite
Obvious because
Because she was giving me sexy eyes at 7 in the morning.
What? Do you need
Sorry,
to step
Judge.
out until it's your time to talk? I know that you're her boyfriend, and it upsets you to hear this testimony. Okay, but if you want to step out, I'm serious.
fine, I'm
until
fine.
it's your time to talk, by all means, we can do that, and I will bring you back in.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Coming up, miscommunication causes more confusion between the nanny and her client.
And you
And my
never
boy-
said, I just broke up with my boyfriend, so, you know, insinuating something?
I did only because he said, what about your boyfriend? Isn't that going to be a problem with your
See?
boyfriend? And said, we are no longer together.
Boom.
Plaintiff Rebecca Conrad says Gordon unexpectedly fired her and is refusing to pay his outstanding bill. She's suing for unpaid wages for nanny services and related expenses. Defendant Gordon Rose says he doesn't know because Rebecca refused to return several of his personal belongings after he parted ways with her when she started acting weird.
So sexy eyes at 7 in the morning when I'm getting dressed, you know, the typical stuff. You
Right.
know, she was infatuated, it's fine. But, so
if
yeah,
if you felt like this, then why wouldn't you have fired me in the first
Have a
place?
seat, have a seat, Miss Conrad. Have a seat, Miss Conrad, have a seat.
Because I kept the boundary up because she did take wonderful care of my children. My children loved her.
All right.
You know, we were going through a very tough time. I was just going through divorce. So in that respect, she did great, and I have no complaints there.
And so you felt for an entire month that she liked you.
Sure, but I was on the road a lot.
So then you say that you met someone in New York.
Yes.
And you told her that you met
Well, I
this
put
person?
on Facebook, or I think I might have texted her something that says, hey, I'm getting engaged, you know, and this was a very short notice kind of situation. And then immediately she says, hey, I
Stand
want to
up,
move to
don't
New York.
talk.
I just broke up with my boyfriend, but back to the
Show me those text messages.
Yeah, I'll find them
If
for
I
you.
can say something, I've never seen his Facebook. I have not been on there. I'm obviously not friends with him, so I'm pretty sure it's private and you can't even see anything anyway.
Okay, so
I've
you never
never known
responded
that.
to him, I just broke up with my boyfriend?
So what happened was I told him I would go ahead and transfer to New York. I never said I would live with him or anything. I'd
Okay.
be willing to transfer.
And you
'Cause my
never said, I just broke up with my boyfriend, so,
Come on, don't lie.
insinuating something?
I did only because he said, what about your boyfriend? Isn't that going to be a problem with your
See?
boyfriend? I said, we are no longer together.
Boom. Sorry.
So you had broken up with your boyfriend, so you were saying you were free to move to New York.
Yes.
And you're taking this as this is another sign of interest.
Yes.
And what I don't
but-
understand is after this, why would you hire me again if I was
Because you take
so
great care of my
unprofessional?
kids. You take
So
great care of my
what
kids.
happened? Why did you hire
I needed,
her again?
my sister came in from England with her family, and I needed a nanny for the day for my nephew.
Okay, and so that's what you're suing about.
I was not compensated for the last week that I had worked for him.
No payment whatsoever.
Absolutely none at all.
Why is that?
Because I asked her politely to give me my baby seat back. She says, well, I think it's in storage or at my mom's. I go, that's great. I knew it was the last time we're going to do business. I says, let me make sure I get my stuff. I found it very ironic.
How did you know it was the last time if you just
Because
decided
I
to hire
decided it was
her
the last
again?
time, because the day she sent me the bill, if you look, Judge, that's when I get the sonogram picture. I got the sonogram picture, and about 5 minutes later, I get this bill. It's just like, you know, it's kind of creeping me out. I've had enough. So I was thinking to myself, I want to, hold on, I'm speaking.
pregnant, you
Conrad.
fired me.
So,
Ms. Conrad,
no, that's not what I'm saying.
sit
I'm
down.
saying that I asked for my baby seat back.
I know you're both passionate about your cases, but this is not how it's going to get resolved. It's not. Step
I
up to the
will.
lectern. The next time it happens, we're done. We're finished. Did you get the car seat back?
No, I did not.
Why is that?
I tried multiple times, multiple attempts to call him and let him know that I had his car seat and to return it. He never returned any of my calls or text messages or anything.
Is that true?
No, not at all. It's a complete fabrication.
What do you have to say about this, sir? You want to stand up?
Sure.
You are Miss Conrad's boyfriend.
Correct.
She's also suing for your unpaid wages.
Well, yeah, because I had to take days off to deal with all this.
For what?
Going to medical facility first, trying to drop the car seat off for him. I even texted him personally and said, I'll drop, you know, because I work right down where he lives in downtown Phoenix. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I can drop it off right after work. And he wanted nothing to do with that. He even said, if you come over, even step inside the complex, I'm going to call the cops on you. And I want no further communication with you.
Why did you say that to him?
Because she wasn't being honest with him about her flirting with me, so I had to drop a text log on him, and he asked, what kind of pictures is she's sending you? Obviously, the jealousy juices got going over there with Kyle. And so, yeah, once he figured out that what she was doing, him and I were solid, if you know what I'm saying. We had a little bromance going on a text log. It's in there, Your Honor. He was just happy that she wasn't sending me the sexy, sexy pictures, if you know what I mean. Just weird, bizarre stuff.
Sir, would you like to step up? Who are you?
Sure. John Rayo.
And what do you have to say about this case? What are you a witness to?
Yeah, I just witnessed that she never returned the car seat, and the fact
Well,
that
how
she.
do you know? Do you live at his house?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So you live with him?
Yeah. Yeah, and we were on the road together, and.
But so you travel with him too. So you're not at the house all the time because she said she dropped it off in the courtyard.
No, but her leaving it in the courtyard doesn't. I mean.
So you're a witness to say.
That's not her returning it to him. That's her returning it to a courtyard. Is that not right?
Well, that's a factual determination, right?
Okay,
but
yeah.
my question is, what are you an actual witness to?
The fact that he never received the car seat.
And you know this because you are with him 24 hours, 7 days a week.
24/7. We write music.
He's my spiritual advisor.
Yeah.
You're his spiritual advisor.
Yes.
What do you advise him on?
All matters, really. It just depends. We stay up late, write music, and travel, do business. And this is interrupting my vacation in Hawaii.
We were in Hawaii. We had to fly back for this.
Had to fly back for this.
Thank you, Mr. Rayo.
Yeah.
Thank you for your testimony. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Coming up on Judge Faith, failed attempts to return a car seat adds more tension to the disgruntled nanny drama.
I was like, let me drop the car seat off because I'm right there.
Okay.
I'll pick the check up. Here's your car seat.
And what was his response?
He was like, that's fine. And then all of a sudden, it would change to magically,
It said,
no,
that's fine.
Don't come over.
Unless you have my car seat.
I'll call the cops on you.
Plaintiff Rebecca Conrad says she returned Gordon's personal belongings. She's suing for unpaid wages for nanny services and related expenses. Defendant Gordon Rose says he doesn't know because Rebecca kept several items that belonged to him.
Let me see the text messages where you say you tried to return the car seat and he would not respond.
Careful, she might flirt with you.
Is this about the car seat?
Yes.
This is about the car seat.
It's in there.
Okay. She wrote, I contacted you 3 times and I told you I had your car seat. I made multiple attempts to return it and then I never heard from you and then I forgot about it. He writes, so you can bring the seat and get your check or just have me deduct from the check the value of the seat. I don't understand. Why don't you just arrange to take the car seat over after you get off work at 7 p.m. and pick up your check?
Because I was pregnant and I was exhausted. Like, I don't know if you've ever had children, but I was exhausted. Like, I worked all day and then I was
But you
just
needed
so
your
tired.
money to pay rent.
Yes, I understand,
So
and that's
all
why
you
I
have
wanted
to
my
do
boyfriend
is
to go.
conjure up the energy some kind of way to go over and give him the car seat and get your check. Why wasn't her boyfriend allowed to do the
Her boyfriend would have
transaction?
been
Let me
allowed-
finish my question.
Sure, Judge.
Because you just said you had a bromance with him.
I did.
The two of you were
Subsequently.
cool.
We're cool.
So why didn't you allow her boyfriend to make the transaction and pick up the check and give you the car seat?
I wanted to. If you look at my log, I actually wanted to do that, but I said, let's do, like you said, a simultaneous exchange. He goes, oh, she'll get the car seat to you later. I'm picking up the check now. I says, no, bro, it's going to go at the same time. Tradey, tradey.
I was like, let me drop the car seat off because I'm right there.
Okay.
I'll pick the check up. Here's your car seat.
And what was his response?
He was like, that's fine. And then all of a sudden, it would change to magically,
It said,
no,
that's fine.
Don't come over.
Unless you have my car seat.
I'll call the cops on you. I want nothing to do with you. I'll see you in small claims.
What happened to the bromance?
The bromance.
We never had a bro. I don't. Again, he has this like
romance.
delusion of being in love with people. People love him or something, but
Everybody
no
does
one's
love
in
me.
love with
It's
you,
great.
bro.
It's great to be loved. The car seat magically was out in the ether somewhere, floating around in pregnant land, with my baby buggy bumper that cost $400. I just want my stuff back, Your Honor.
Hi, Gordon. This is Kyle, Rebecca's boyfriend. Is it okay if I stop by and pick up her check? He replies, do you have my car seat with you? No, Becca has it at the house. She can drop it off later. He replies, I need to get the car seat before I release the check. I've asked for it 3 times and I need it back. You reply, she can bring it on the weekend. She was supposed to be paid Friday. He responds, I don't understand why you're getting involved. Please stop texting me. You reply, I'm just picking up the check. He writes back, no, I'm getting my car seat back and then I'll release the check. You reply, okay, I'll be over in about 10 minutes. You don't have the car seat though. So you say, okay, I'll be over in about 10 minutes, and that's when he responds, if you come here, I will call the police. You are not welcome here. You should probably speak with Rebecca about this. I don't understand. He has a right to ask for his car seat.
He must have missing text in there then, because at the very end.
Well, but you don't have your text messages. But here's I don't understand why it's so difficult to do an exchange.
Me either, because I tried to drop the car seat off.
But there's no proof of that. But there's no proof of that. All I see is the man asking for the car seat and saying he will pay you when he gets the car seat.
Or he could have just he could have just deleted parts of the text. It's not that hard to delete.
I'm reading you your response. You wrote this. And I asked you, did he respond? And you said yes. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Whatever.
What'd you say? You can leave. You said whatever.
Yeah.
It's not whatever. It's whatever I say. That's what it is. Take a walk. I don't need your help.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
You're suing for a lot of things, but what are the counseling sessions about? He owes you for counseling sessions?
Yes, because honestly, I went to my doctor and they said the reason for the miscarriage was because I was extremely stressed out, which was 2 weeks prior to him firing me and not paying me. So what happened was I had to go through counseling for that because it was very traumatic for me and it was very depressing. So I ended up seeing a counselor for that.
Well, I'm sorry that you had a miscarriage, but you're saying that the defendant is responsible for that?
Yes, for stress. The reason why I had the miscarriage was stress, and the only thing stressful was him firing me, not paying me.
All you had to do was return the car seat, and you would have gotten paid. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You didn't countersue for the value of the car seat, so I can't deduct that from her lawsuit. But it's obviously a big issue in this case in terms of why you didn't get paid. And I believe that's why you didn't get paid, because of this issue with the car seat. However, he admits he did not pay you $440. The rest of your lawsuit, lost wages, counseling sessions, late on your rent, medical fees, I'm dismissing all of that. So the total judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. $440 for unpaid wages, in addition to $48 for mileage reimbursement. $488 judgment for the plaintiff. Pay her for her wages and her mileage, sir. Good luck.
What I think about the judge's ruling, it was fair. I never didn't want to not pay her in the first place. I just wanted my baby seat back and my baby buggy, which I never got back. But I wish her the best of luck. She was a great nanny.
A long-distance truck driver and his former landlord find themselves at a dead end when items go missing after an unexpected eviction.
I'm a truck driver. I'm not always in town. I always let him know when I'm in town, I have your money, let's meet somewhere, and I can pay you the money.
For October and November, he stayed on track with what he said he was going to do. But mid-November, December, wasn't anywhere close to what was happening.
So you're not telling me something about this case. What happened? How long were you in jail?
And later, a tumultuous love affair has an on-again, off-again couple in court battling over the cost to fix a busted window.
Our first date, we were both handcuffed in the back of a police car, so that should have been my red flag.
Well, she became very controlling and very possessive. It just got worse and worse as time went by, and it got to the point where I really couldn't take it anymore.
So you go over and you find out that she's there, and you decide to do what?
Plaintiff Robert Mazik says the defendant evicted him from his apartment and kept his personal belongings as blackmail to get more money. He's suing for the value of his property. Defendant Robert Tanguma says he doesn't know because all the belongings were moved into storage, and Robert took advantage of his kindness. He's countersuing for unpaid rent.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Mazik versus Tanguma.
Thank you, Juan. Robert Mazik?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Robert Tanguma.
Yes.
For $5,000, the value of property you say he's responsible for.
Yes.
And you are countersuing, sir, for $2,130 for unpaid rent.
That is correct.
So I understand you leased a home from the defendant for a period of time in Dallas, Texas. You were a tenant there. Why don't you start from the beginning and tell me what happened?
On April 2015, I had to move, so I went online on Zillow.com, and I've seen her residence, and I went over there to his residence, and I've seen the place. I gave him a deposit, and
How much did you give him for a deposit?
$900 plus the rent, which was $1,800 and change.
What kind of tenant was he? Did he pay the rent on time?
He did not. His first month's rent was late, 8 days, and then June was, he was late on the 9th, then the 10th, and then the 15th, and it slowly got worse and worse. And finally in October, I basically was pleading with him, hey, get this thing on time, and he didn't, so I filed eviction paperwork.
Okay, so you were evicted or did you leave on your own?
No, I was not evicted.
Okay.
When I moved into the place, I'm a truck driver, and I told Mr. Tanguma when I got the place, I'm a truck driver, I'm not always in town.
Okay.
But when I always let him know when I'm in town, I have your money, let's meet somewhere, and I can pay you the money.
So October, when he moved for eviction, because you didn't leave, you stayed there for 2 more months, November and December, right?
And I can explain that, Your Honor.
Did he pay November and December rent?
Well, he pleaded with me. He said, hey, Mr. Tanguma, I have a son at the house. He needs to go to school and everything else. So I was like, I
How
felt
old is your
for him.
son?
15.
Okay.
I said, okay, if we can get a schedule together of getting paid and getting back on track, we'll go ahead and move forward. And that's what we agreed to do. For October and November, he stayed on track with what he said he was going to do.
Okay.
But mid-November and December wasn't anywhere close to what was happening. November's rent, he finally paid in December the 14th.
Okay, is that true?
He got it in December, because I said I came back in town.
And you don't think that's a problem?
Now, I would let him know, because I said I was a truck driver, and I'm not, and
Okay,
I can't
even
always...
if you let him know, you did not pay rent in November.
Yes.
You paid November's rent in December. That's a problem.
Okay.
And that's really getting to the crux of this lawsuit and what happens in December.
Right.
Tell me what happened in December.
Okay, December 28th, I was at work driving my truck, and the officer stopped me to do a DOT inspection. And while he was doing the DOT inspection, he found
Department
out...
of Transportation?
Yes. He found out I had a bench warrant. So, which means he arrested me for
What'd
having
you have
a bench
a warrant for?
I had a bench warrant for, a possession charge.
Possession of what?
Marijuana.
A possession of distribution amount?
No,
Or,
just having it in my possession.
Okay, so just a marijuana possession.
Yes, and I paid the bill for the whole ticket, but what I did not know is that you have when you're on probation, you have a probationary fee.
Okay, so you had a warrant because you hadn't paid certain fees associated with this possession charge, and so they arrested you.
Yes.
What happened? How long were you in jail?
70 days.
When did you find out that he had been arrested?
I found out January the 7th. He called me.
So the entire month of December, you didn't know where he was?
No idea.
Had you been trying to reach him?
I had. I had text communication. I had communication with him until the 18th of December, where I had back and forth conversations and text. But after the 18th, I did not hear from him, and on December the 30th, I filed for eviction again.
When I got arrested on the 28th of December, that Wednesday, I contacted Mr.
May I see the
Tagliabue.
text messages? How? How did you contact him?
Off of a jail phone, I called him and told him I was incarcerated, and told him that this is where I'm at and that I will have a family member contact him to pay the rent.
Did that happen? Did someone pay the rent?
No, he told me he did not want it. He wanted me out of the property.
So is that true? He contacted you after he was arrested?
He contacted me.
This conversation, did it happen in December or January?
No, the first conversation I had with him after he was arrested was the 7th of January. And he requested, hey, I'm in jail. Can I stay at the property? I said, can you pay for December and January because it's due? And he says, no, I can't. And
May I see
said,
your phone? Are these text messages on your phone?
Yes.
May I see them? He asks you on December 18th, when will I get rent money? You tell him next weekend. This is December 18th. And on December 28th, which is how I know you didn't have that conversation with him right after you got arrested, he writes to you, what happened to giving me rent this weekend? I cannot allow you to fall 2 months behind again. If I do not hear from you today, I will start the eviction process tomorrow. You don't respond because obviously you can't because you're in jail. Yes. He writes to you again 5 days later, January 3rd. I have not heard from you in over 2 weeks. Due to that fact, I have started the eviction process. You did not contact him from jail during this time period. He has no idea you're incarcerated. No one's told him, given him that message. You have not spoken to him at that point. My question is this. Did you pay December rent?
I was incarcerated.
So you did not pay those 2 months of rent.
Coming up, additional details emerge about the missing belongings.
What happened to the things in the home?
He had some helpers move him out, and they had free choice in picking of all my stuff.
And later, a torrid love affair ends with a violent outburst and a broken window.
I couldn't help myself. I picked up a piece of wood and I just cracked him.
Plaintiff Robert Mazik says Robert tried to extort money from him. He's suing for the value of his property. Defendant Robert Tanguma says he doesn't know because Robert's personal property was put into storage for safekeeping. He's countersuing for unpaid rent.
Tell me about your lawsuit. You had items in the home.
Yes.
What happened to those items?
I spoke to the gentleman, Mr. Tanguma, and I got him in contact with my sister so that the stuff could be moved. He had some helpers move him out, and they had free choice in picking of all my belongings.
That is not true, Your Honor.
What I have in my storage is 2 beds, a refrigerator.
Who moved those things into storage?
His handyman.
You said he had helpers move your things into storage.
Yeah, he
Who
was
paid
not
for
present.
storage?
My sister.
Do you have proof that your sister paid a storage bill on your behalf?
I don't have it with me because when all this took place.
No. This is your lawsuit.
Okay.
This is your lawsuit.
I don't have the proof.
I don't accept testimony that I don't have it with me. I will not accept that. This
Okay.
is your lawsuit. You are suing about your things that were in storage. That is one of the most critical pieces of evidence you could bring with you. You don't have it with you because your sister was not paying the storage. The defendant was. Show me the proof of the bills. I still want to hear your case, but I'm just telling you, I'm one step ahead of you.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna have to be truthful and tell the truth. Who paid these bills?
I paid the bills, Your Honor.
Did his sister ever give you money for storage?
I got paid the $300 for the storage, but after I paid for all 3 months. It wasn't, I had already paid for them, but I got reimbursed.
So you were reimbursed?
I was reimbursed,
okay,
yes.
that's what I need
That's what
I need to understand. So you paid 3 months of storage, January, February, March.
That is correct.
Which you submitted here, and his sister reimbursed you when? In March?
It was March the 10th, I believe, when she reimbursed me.
March 10th. Okay,
Yes.
so now do we have an understanding? You know why that's important? Because if something happens, you're incarcerated, you haven't paid rent, he has no obligation to move your items into storage, to pay storage fees for 3 months, and fortunately, your sister came and was able to reimburse him, but he's gone way over and beyond anything that he has to do as a landlord. You have a son who's obviously living there. What happened to your son? He was there by himself?
No, he wasn't by himself.
Who was with him?
It was a young lady by the name of who was there with him and took care of him and made sure he had food.
Who is she?
A woman that I know and that my son knows.
Okay, but you have not proven your case to me. You can't prove your case. There were too many people. God knows who else was in the home. You don't know because you were in jail. But you certainly can't prove to me that the defendant stole your items. And by the way, this is a man who paid 3 months of storage for you. If he really wanted to steal them, he would not be paying 3 months of storage, sir, to keep your items in storage and your sister reimbursed him. You are countersuing for rent, back rent. You don't get that either, and I'll tell you why. Because I read through the text messages on your phone, and you decided to settle this entire case with him. You told him if he paid you a certain amount after he got out of jail, and you send to him the key, release the storage, and here's all your things, you can pick it up. So you made a negotiation, and you settled that before you ever came into court today. He mailed you the money. You gave him access to his items in storage. Both cases are dismissed, but judgment is for the defendant.
I did everything in my power to make sure I took care of him and his family and took care of his stuff, and he didn't see it that way, so I'm pretty upset about that.
I don't got no dislike towards the man. I just wish he wouldn't have took my stuff or had his helpers rob me of all my belongings.
Plaintiff Preston Smith says a defendant has been an obsessive lover since day one, and she busted out his bedroom window in a jealous rage. He's suing for money owed for property damage. Defendant Barbara Shiflett says she doesn't know because Preston was seeing other women, and his lies triggered the incident that led to the property damage.
Preston Smith.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, Barbara Shiflett?
Yes, Your Honor.
For $1,500, you say she owes you for breaking the window to your home.
Yes.
Why don't we start from the beginning? Give me some background on you and your relationship with the defendant.
Okay, I started dating Barbara back in 2010.
Our first date, we were both handcuffed in the back of a police car, so that should have been my red flag.
What
That's
happened?
where you kissed me first.
Yeah.
What happened?
He was speeding down a really heavily trafficked street.
And both of you were arrested and put in the
Yes.
back of a police car because he was speeding?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do wrong?
Nothing. They just took me with them.
Any particular reason?
Well, no, I guess because he was kissing me in the back. Just, I don't know. They just took me with them, and they wanted to.
I have a feeling there's more to this story.
Oh, yeah, there is.
But I have a feeling I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it. You don't.
So we're going to move on.
Yes.
So what happened here?
Well, she became very controlling and very possessive, and it got to the point where I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go out with my friends, and it got to the point where I really couldn't take it anymore. So, I mean, I'm also a caregiver. I'm a caregiver for an elderly lady, and there'd be times that I'd call home to talk to her, and when she was there, and she would literally rip the phone out of the wall because I would talking to the elderly lady. And
Did you do that?
No, ma'am. It fell down off of the wall because it was just the way it was put up. It was all just rigged the wrong way.
Right.
It's just half done. It wasn't done properly. I did maybe one time mess with the wires so she couldn't play on the internet on her games because she was mean to me.
So you sabotaged an
Just
elderly
her
woman's
that
internet
was
service
it.
so she couldn't
But
play
I-
games because she was mean to you.
She was totally mean to me and lied to him because she just had a little place in her heart for him and not me.
It's not
And
true.
I'm his girlfriend.
It's not true.
But there's a lot more to all of this as far as what catapulted our relationship going downfall. It's that a girlfriend of mine knew me and him, but he didn't know her, where he was having an affair with his ex-girlfriend, okay? That was initially,
what
to
you're
make a
talking
long
about.
story short, she was the one in the bedroom when I busted the windows.
Oh, so you admit to breaking the window?
I'm sorry, I had to, because...
Why?
Because he lied to me. Earlier that day, excuse me, can I just talk for a minute? I'm just gonna take us right to why
We've been
I
split up
broke
for
the
2 months
windows.
at that time, and I hadn't even seen her in a month prior to this.
Okay, but still, the fact is, the girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, the first time I ever met her, she stole my Gucci purse, okay? And that
Not
tells
true.
me what type of person she was, and he stayed with her.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the couple takes their crazy to the next level.
And the next thing I know, I was out cold. I mean, for like the next 3 hours.
Wait, you think she drugged you?
He passed out because he was tired.
Plaintiff Preston Smith says Barbara broke his window in a fit of jealous rage. He's suing for money owed for property damage. Defendant Barbara Shiflett says she doesn't know because Preston triggered the incident.
So you go over and you find out that she's there, and you decide to do what?
We talked earlier that day.
Okay.
And you know, our relationship's been on and off for a few years. We're just trying to get it together because at one time we truly loved each other. I got the man's name tattooed on me 3 times across my chest, my back, my arm.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem
And
to me.
I know. And so today, when I talked to him and I said, well, maybe this is the time that we're going to maybe get it right. So I found a half a gallon of Southern Comfort, his favorite drink. So I go to take it to him.
God.
And I always go to his bedroom window because he can't hear the front door at night. I recognize this voice, this lady. I said, this is his ex-girlfriend. Ma'am, I've been a baseball player for 20 years and a softball pitcher, and I couldn't help myself. I picked up a piece of wood and I just cracked him. And it was just a home run, okay? That's all I seen was red. And it's really hurted me so bad. And I don't think I'm responsible for the fact of how he broke me down hard and just totally set me up.
May I see the photos, please?
You can see that it was boarded up and hadn't been fixed at that point, but it's actually a big hole in
So
there.
all 3 of these window panes were broken?
Technically, it's all 4.
So you broke all 4 of the windows. You couldn't make your point with just one?
No, I was a state champion softball pitcher.
What do you say happened?
I heard the sound of crashing of glass, and I woke up. All of a sudden, I heard Barbara's voice, and I realized what was going on. At that point, I looked at a girl next to me, and I said, I'm going to go out and try to calm Barbara down. And when I do that, I want you to slip out the back and just get in your car and go. And yeah. So I did that. I went and got in Barbara's car, and we sat for a few minutes. She handed me, it was either orange juice or cranberry juice or something at that point. And the next thing I know, I was out cold. I mean, for like the next 3 hours. I wake up.
Wait, you think she drugged you?
He didn't drug him. He was busy. He was physically exhausted.
That's the only thing I could think of. I mean, I was out
She
cold.
said it was Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
You said it was
that definitely
orange
wasn't Southern
juice.
Comfort. I wasn't drinking. I didn't even have a sip of the Southern Comfort.
So you think she drugged you in the car and you passed out in the car?
I can't say for sure, Your Honor, but
Excuse me, he passed out because he was tired.
I just want to make sure I'm clear about this. Your defense to breaking his window that night, which is what he's suing you for, is that he drove you to it.
Oh, totally, he drove me to it. I mean, because he crushed my world all over again.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
You said that you were able to track who he was communicating with on his phone. How was that?
I had an app on my phone, ma'am, because when he had my phones, he didn't know I paid for premium, and I had everything uploaded to my account.
Okay.
So I have everything on picture, calls, text messages,
of
and
his
everything.
phone?
No, my phone. He had my phone. He swiped my stuff.
That's not true. It was my phone.
He got my phone.
And she got a hold of these pictures and posted them on the internet, on YouTube, I believe.
Because he would take mine sometimes, and it uploaded everything. He didn't know that.
Did you put the photos on the internet?
I made a movie.
Since you admit to breaking the windows, you said that you did so because you were angry and upset because you caught him with someone else. That is not a defense. You cannot then go and destroy someone's property. You should be happy he did not call the police.
I can't help it.
Well, you're going to have to help yourself or you're going to end up in jail. Because someone else may not be as nice to you when you go at 5 o'clock in the morning and bash their windows in with a 2x4. Because if you damage property, you're going to have to pay for it, which is what you're going to have to do today. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on the estimates for the window panes, my judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Good luck to both of you.
It was just unfair because, you know, even though the windows were broke, I was totally provoked and it just escalated.
I've learned to be more careful with my choice of women.
Two Memphis radio personalities and best friends battle over an unpaid DJ fee for a wedding reception.
When you're trying to pinch pennies and cut corners, this is what happens. The party was dying out. They were taking away the decorations. People were sitting down looking at one another.
When he left that night, he left an hour early.
Does he tell you he's still going to pay you the full amount?
And later, an Indiana woman claims the man who sold her a used SUV refused her car payments and then illegally repossessed it.
He never responded to me. He never answered any texts. He never answered any calls.
I have every single thing to show that she has been avoiding me.
You want me to believe he refused to answer your calls and refused to take your money for over 2 months.
Plaintiff Chris McNeil says the defendant hired him to DJ a wedding reception, but is refusing to pay him what he's owed. He's suing for an unpaid balance for a DJing fee. Defendant Kevin Braden says he doesn't owe because he was forced to pay another DJ to finish the wedding reception after Chris left early.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of McNeil versus Brady.
Thank you, Juan. Chris McNeil,
Yes, Your Honor.
you were suing the defendant Kevin Braden
Yes, Your Honor.
for $100.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say he owes you an unpaid balance for a DJing fee when you worked at the defendant's wedding?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
So how do you know Mr. Braden? Give me some background.
Okay, Your Honor, the defendant and I have known each other for 10 years. We both work in Memphis, Tennessee. We're radio personalities.
Okay.
I work for a very known station, just as he does.
Okay. What kind of music do they play?
I play hip-hop and R&B, but I play a various range of music for people outside of hip-hop and R&B.
What's your
soul.
radio name, your DJ
Superman, DJ Superman.
name? Okay. All right. And so you work for a competing radio station?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of music do you play?
Classic hip hop and R&B.
Okay, got it. So the two of you know each other from being in the business?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
So prior to the wedding, were the two of you friends or you just knew each other in a professional capacity?
Yes, Your Honor. We were friends.
Friends and work with each other in a professional capacity.
How would you describe your friendship?
Good. I thought it was, but I can still consider it as a good friendship.
Okay.
That's my boy, as we say.
Well, when he approached you about DJing at this wedding, what was the conversation?
He came to me in February. We discussed his daughter's wedding. And I said, sure, I'd be honored to do it. And we discussed the price, and we talked about getting together for the contract. I do have a copy of the contract, the original.
Okay, and how long would you be at the wedding?
4 hours. Now, may I please give the bailiff the contract?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking at a copy of the contract now. It's pretty clear that you would be there for 4 hours and you would be paid $400 for the scope of your work as detailed on the contract. Does that sound right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And so then you do the wedding,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You perform the services, and what happened?
The contract was not honored from the beginning. He gave me $100 when I finished.
The contract is for $400. So why is he only getting $100 when he leaves?
He left an hour early.
Okay, is that true?
Your Honor, I asked him, could I leave because the party was dying out. They were taking away the decorations. People were sitting down looking at one another.
Were you there for 4 hours?
Yes.
How long do you say he was there?
3 hours. And it may have been a little over 3 hours because he had to pack up.
Well,
Your Honor, when a DJ does a function, when you're setting up, that is work. That is an hour of work. So I had to come in at 4 and set up all my equipment. I don't have a setup crew. That is work.
What time did you leave?
I left there around 8-ish.
What time did the reception start?
It started about 4.
Let me see the photos you submitted to court. You just wanted me to see
That's
that
me
you
in
were
all
in
my
fact
glory.
DJing?
That's me in all my glory working. I wanted you to see me working.
Okay. I believe you when you say you were there DJing, just so you know.
That is the wedding reception. Now, don't we look like we're having a harmonious time, Your Honor?
Harmonious?
Did you tell him, yes, you can leave, but just know I'm not paying you?
No, because that didn't come up till the next day.
Okay, so what happened on the next day?
Well, the sound man had to stay later. He came to actually just do sound. So that was his thing. So once Superman left, he stepped into the role of DJ. So he's now playing the music for that last hour.
So he played music for an hour. Do you have a statement from him that in fact happened?
He should have sent a video.
Let me hear the video statement.
Hi, Judge Faith. My name is Tyrone Alexander Mosby. I'm a DJ/sound man. I was asked by Kevin to do the sound equipment for his daughter's wedding reception. DJ Superman was to do the live entertainment. However, toward the end of the evening, DJ Superman left 1 hour prior to the wedding reception ending. I had to step in and do DJ the rest of the reception. I feel that this was unfair to the bride, the husband, and the father of the bride who was paying for the event. Thank you for your time.
Your Honor, may I please say
Probably
something?
one of the best video statements I've had submitted in court.
Coming up, DJs disagree over the final payment amount.
When did he pay you the other $200?
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later? It took you 2 weeks to get him the other $200?
The relationship that we have as friends, it never was an issue.
And later, the former owner of an SUV demands her money back from the salesman who repossessed the vehicle.
My question is, why'd you call and curse him out like that?
Because when I told him I had to be late with the March payments, he cussed me out. He called.
That's not true.
Plaintiff Chris McNeil says Kevin agreed to pay him the rest of the money. He's suing for an unpaid balance for a DJing fee. Defendant Kevin Braden says he doesn't know because Chris left the wedding reception early.
After the $100, when did he pay you the other $200?
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later? It took you 2 weeks to get him the other $200?
The relationship that we have as friends, it never was an issue. It wasn't like anything hindering me from giving it to him. It's like in conversation. Yeah, I got you. Can we do it this day? No, I can't do it this day, but let's do it that day. Well, I'm not good on that day. Let's do it this day.
Do you know how many times I've heard people come in and he said, he told me he had me?
No, you're right. But what I'm saying is the days that I offered, he might have been busy on that day. I paid the sound man because I felt bad that he had to stay, even though he was going to be there for the time, but he was actually there for sound. So now, that last 45 minutes to an hour, he goes from sound man mode to DJ now. Even though the crowd may have been small, at the end of the day, I know you've heard the term, if it's one person out there, 2 people out there, 3 people, I'm gonna do the best show like it's 1,000 people out there.
Your Honor.
And that's what he did.
If he'd have just paid me one solid fee, he'd have had everything. But when you're trying to cut corners, basically trying to have a caviar party on sardine money, that's what happens.
Hold up.
The shade that's going on
Hold
right
up.
now.
Yeah, that's some real shade right there.
Because
the thing, this shade, it don't got dark in here. Wait a minute, Your Honor.
This is your
Hold
honor.
up.
But here's your position as a professional. If he doesn't want to pay you the deposit and he does not give you the deposit in advance, then you don't do the job.
Yes,
so it's
Your
also
Honor.
incumbent upon you to say, hey, you know what? I can't do this gig unless you pay me money. I guarantee you, if you told him that night, he would have come up with more than just a $100 bill.
My job that day was to give my daughter the best reception and wedding I could. This is not the only time Superman and myself have done. We've been doing work for years, but I'm just saying.
But I understand that, but now you're in court.
Yeah.
So when people come in, we're friends, we do work for years, we have all these side agreements in addition to the contract. That's what makes the case difficult. Here's what we're going to do. We're done, I'm done with testimony. Here's what we're going to do. You left early, and if you want it to be clear that you expect to be paid your full amount, although you're leaving early, you need to get a signature on your contract, get an initial with the time that you're leaving, and that they say it's okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what you have to do, because what's going to happen is what happened in this case. He doesn't want to pay you because, frankly, I don't think he wants to come out of pocket with another 100. But in addition, he has a valid excuse now. Well, I didn't really say that you could leave. I told you could leave early, but it put me in a bind. You left early, so why should you be paid for leaving early and not performing for the last hour?
Your Honor.
You, on the other hand, if you're going to tell someone you can leave early, but then, obviously he asked you that for a reason. He's asking you that because he still wants to be paid. He doesn't think it's an issue at that point, right? But he's saying, do you mind if I leave early because there's not a lot going on? If in your mind that means, okay, you can leave early, but you know I'm not going to pay you the full amount, then you have to communicate that to him. Because here what we have is a written contract. The two of you deviated from that written contract, and there's a lot of confusion. I'm ordering you to pay the plaintiff $50 for the remaining $100 left in the DJ contract. Good luck to both of you.
The ruling today I'm not happy about because I did not get fully compensated for the $100 I'm owed, so therefore I'm a little disgruntled.
I felt the ruling today was okay. You know, I deal with it, but I still feel that I shouldn't have to pay anything.
Plaintiff Sierra Word says the defendant sold her an SUV, but when she missed a payment, he towed the car away. She's suing for return of her down payment, a car payment, lost wages, and for pain and suffering. Defendant Kenneth Davison says he doesn't owe because Sierra missed 3 payments and then cussed him out when he requested his money. He's countersuing for car damage, car service, car keys, towing fee, car payments, and loss of business.
Sierra Word.
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant, Kenneth Davison,
Yes, Your Honor.
for $3,480. Payments related to a car you were purchasing from the defendant in addition to pain and suffering?
Correct.
And you have a countersuit, sir, for $4,188 for damage to that car, replacement keys, and some other items that you're suing for that you will explain to me.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll start with you, Ms. Word. Tell me what's going on. How do you know the defendant, and tell me about the car you were purchasing from him?
I met the defendant through an employee of mine that I work with. I was looking to purchase a vehicle. This was around the end of January. And I was talking to her about purchasing a vehicle. She did tell me that he buys vehicles and he's in the car business, so he buys them and sells them.
Like he works at a dealership, or he just flips cars?
He just flips cars.
And where do you get the cars from?
Well, from all over, from private people. I like to buy from private people so I can get some sort of a actual story instead of buying from the auction where you know nothing about the car, you know.
Okay.
And that's how I do it.
Okay. And so you decide to purchase a car for Mr. Davison. Tell me, what kind of car is it?
It's a 2001 Mazda Tribute. It's an SUV.
Mm-hmm. What was the agreed purchase price?
Well, I put $1,500 down on the vehicle towards the total cost of $3,200. I was going to be making payments in the amount of $250 a month.
What month did you put the $1,500 down?
February.
February.
Of this year.
And when would your note start? In March?
In March.
Did you pay $250 in March?
Yes.
No, she didn't.
I paid $250 in March.
Do you have a receipt for that?
We never did receipts. It was a cash purchase. I paid him in 2 payments. I paid amount of money, and then I met him on a separate occasion when I got another check, and I paid him the other half of the money.
And you say you made this $250 payment. He says you didn't.
Yes.
You got the car in February. You put $1,500 down. You made one payment in March.
Yes.
No payments in April.
Partial payment in March, sorry.
No payments in May. And then he repossesses the car in June, and that's why we're here. Is that
Correct.
true? Okay.
Correct to what you're saying.
Let me go to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
What proof do you have that she did not pay you $250 in March?
Well, I have numerous text messages.
Let me see that. Okay, I just have to say, these are the cutest Post-its I've ever seen. Thumbs up, and you can write a note on it.
I get it from Mom, she's a lawyer.
I love this. Okay, so let me just take a look at this.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the car damage is disputed.
May I say what she said?
Yes.
She called me all kind of and told me I was a lame, sue me.
Why?
And hung up.
Plaintiff Sierra Word says she tried to pay Kenneth, but he stopped taking her calls. She's suing for return of her down payment, a car payment, lost wages, and for pain and suffering. Defendant Kenneth Davison says he doesn't know because Sierra stopped making payments. He's countersuing for car damage, car service, car keys, towing fee, car payments, and loss of business.
I know you like the Post-its, but you're kind of overdoing it at this point.
I'm sorry.
There are 20. Do you have any
I just
left?
wanted to give you a quick reference to what I was showing in those texts.
Okay, so this is interesting. This is interesting because on April 4th, there's clearly a dispute between the two of you going on. On the 31st, you say, I have the rest of your payment for this month. He replies, okay, we can meet whenever. And then the next response is, you can just name a spot to meet. You can get your money back. What money are you offering to give back?
I was going to offer to give her whole $1,500 back, just to not deal with this lady, because there was a call made prior to that text, and I was called all kind of. May I say what she said?
Yes.
She called me all kind of and told me I was a lame, sue me.
Why?
And hung up.
This was the first month.
I called her and I told her, I said, well, I told you the reason why I needed the payments on time and the reason why I set the $250 up was to cover my half of the shop rent that I had with my partner.
Okay.
And it threw everything out of whack or whatever, and I made a call to her because she didn't get back to me after she said I have that other payment.
And you are the only one I see cursing on these text messages. My question is, why'd you call and curse him out like that?
Because when I told him I had to be late with the March payments, he cussed me out. He called my phone and said, I need my money right now. And I said, well, we have a 15-day grace period.
Okay, that's
in
not
our
cursing
contract.
you out. He's just saying he needs his money.
And I told him, I said, well, I can't do it right now. So then there was a whole bunch of, I'm going to take the vehicle and
Again, that's not cursing you out. They're saying, I need my money. I'm going to take the vehicle if I don't get paid.
It was the tone. He was screaming at me.
That I would take the vehicle.
Called and screamed, hollering. I'm like, why do we have to go like this? We have an agreement.
What do you think's going to happen if you buy a car from Ford and you don't make payments for 2 months? Do you think you're going to be able to call up Ford and call them names and curse them out and that's going to work? No. What are they going to do? They're going to come and repossess the car.
Correct.
Why are you angry because he repossessed the car after you didn't make payments for over 2 months on it?
I contacted him to get the payment. He never responded to me. He never answered any text. He never answered any call.
I'm looking at text messages between the two of you. This is April 15th.
Correct.
Between the two of you on April 15th,
Yes.
on April 17th, on April 18th. What do you mean you can't get in touch with him?
No,
you guys are texting the entire month of April.
Well, that was on the 15th.
No. You got to stop.
Okay.
You got to stop. You got to stop.
Ma'am.
You said you couldn't get in touch with him in April.
On the 29th of April, I couldn't get in touch with him when I told him I had the payment.
The payment is due on the 15th. I'm looking at messages on April 18th.
Right, but we have a 15-day grace period.
Miss Word, you want me to believe he refused to answer your calls and refused to take your money for over 2 months. Come on now, Miss Word. If you really want to pay someone, because here's the reality of it, because one, you know we get these cases all the time. People say they tried. I tried to pay him.
You're right.
I tried to give him money.
Yes,
I wish people would try to give me money.
I know, right?
Because it's not that difficult.
Mail it to me.
If you really want to pay somebody, it's not that difficult.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Why would you agree to someone making payments to you Why would you ever do that?
Question. You have a great question because you know what? This was a good, decent friend of the mother of my child. She had a job. So I said, you know what? I did this before and I got burnt. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try, and I'm going to see what happens. You know, because she's a good candidate. She has nothing, no other bills, just her to take care of. So why can't you pay $250? I also looked her in the face the day we did. I said, look, if you cannot squeeze this $250, just tell me, let me know. I said, are you sure? She said, no, I got it, I can take it, I got it, I got it, I got it.
You claim that that she caused damage to the car.
Correct, she just definitely did. I have.
It's a used car. Did you damage the car?
No.
Here's what we're gonna do. You have a $1,500 deposit.
Correct.
You have a month, maybe a month of payments, and you have the car. You keep the $1,500 deposit, and you have the car back. You can sell the car. Judgment in this case for the defendant. No money judgment, but judgment in this case for the defendant.
Okay. Thank you.
The man didn't want to take my money or give me a chance to get him in full because of some personal issues between him and his child's mother, and he wanted to take it out on me. Something's wrong with the man, and I'm glad it's over with.
I would never do another payment, especially with someone that agrees to keep their word, especially when their last name is Word.
Businessmen argue over the details of a canceled snow removal contract after a warm Michigan winter.
If it snows or not, we still get paid.
Well, he told me that it has to be paid something for November, even though he didn't do any work.
If it doesn't snow, he's still supposed to pay you $5,000 every month?
And later, a homeowner refuses to pay her former handyman for a plumbing job that she says he took 60 days to botch.
When I got out to the place, I said, oh no, I hope the person who owns this house doesn't own it anymore, because I've done work before and the same outcome.
He did do work for me before, and it was the doors, which he messed that up as well.
So neither one of you wanted to work with each other, but you did anyway, is what you're telling me?
Plaintiff David Viola says the defendant hired his snow removal company, but didn't follow the cancellation policy, causing him to go into major debt. He's suing for an unpaid invoice. Defendant Human Eddie Matty says he doesn't know because David's services were no longer needed, and he gave a 30-day cancellation notice.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Viola versus Edamati.
Thank you, Juan. David Viola.
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Human Edimati,
Yes, Your Honor.
for $4,860. You say he owes you for an unpaid invoice for a snow removal services?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me a little bit about your background, what kind of business you run.
It's a landscaping company. We do lawn cutting, landscaping, and snow removal.
And this is in Michigan?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
What do you do, sir?
I'm a vice president of the Brownstown Square Apartments.
Okay.
We run the operation there. I've been with the company for 25 years.
How many apartments are in the complex?
192 units.
So you hire various vendors or companies to help service
Yes.
the apartment complex and keep up with the lawn, landscaping in the summer, and in the winter, snow removal?
Yes.
So when did you hire the plaintiff?
We hired Mr. David over here in November. We did a contract with him.
For snow removal
for
services?
Snow removal
but prior
services.
to that, had you hired him for any other work?
He did some landscaping work for us, yes.
When
He
was
cut
that,
the
sir?
grass.
It was a few years prior to that at another location that we did some lawn cutting for him, and we did some snow removal as well. And then he had got this new complex and asked if I would come over and do some work on that one as well.
Tell me about the terms of the agreement. May I see the contract, please? And so you entered into a contract that you would provide snow removal services, and he would pay you $4,860 per month for those services.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say 30 days certified notice of cancellation in writing required by the customer. And there's a handwritten note at the bottom, and it says either party can cancel contract with 30 days written notice. So it's basically the same thing.
Yes.
Who wrote that in?
He did. I wrote that in, Your
Why
Honor.
did you write that?
To make it clear that either party can cancel with a 30-day notice.
Okay.
And originally when we spoke, I asked him why this is $4,860, this is way above normal charges. And he said that, have faith in me. The costs are high. You know, we're going to do a good job for you. And, you know, we agreed to it, and we gave him a $3,000 check in November 21st.
So the contract starts November 21st? It says November 1st.
Right, he draws up the contract from November 1st because that's the way the season works.
But it is signed November 21st, so that is correct?
Yeah, we sat down and signed it then.
So you got a $3,000 check on November 21st?
It is a 5-month contract.
Sir, you answer my question. November 21st is when the contract is signed. You got a $3,000 check that day?
Yes.
Is that the only money you say you've ever received from the defendant under this contract?
For that location.
Let's go to December. He cancels this contract to you in writing on December 7th. You submitted the letter to the court.
Right, he gave me a letter that said 30-day cancellation. And of course, the letter even said that we were doing a good job and everything else, but he didn't explain in the letter exactly why he was canceling.
Well, let me see your copy of the letter. I don't remember all of that information, but let me take a look at this. Well, sir, this letter is one sentence. He didn't say anything about the work you did. He just said this is, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This letter is one sentence, 30-day notice to cancel the snow removal. We thank you for the services you have provided.
Right. But
when does he say you did a great job?
We thank you for the services we provided, meaning that he's not saying you did a bad job, good job, or whatever. He's just basically, he's basically just canceling.
Okay, so he thanked you for your service, and you took that to mean you had done a wonderful job, because he wouldn't be thanking you otherwise.
Exactly.
I mean, there was no snow.
What services had you provided?
Well, I feel like the reason why he did back out on the contract is because we were getting no snow. And so he didn't want to pay out all this money for nothing.
Well, he paid $3,000.
Coming up, questions are asked about the snow removal contract.
You're telling me if you did absolutely no work, you're still supposed to be paid almost $5,000 a month?
And later, a homeowner and a handyman battle over a botched plumbing job.
It was a big problem all the way around, even with the bathtub, because he messed that up.
If I had known it was going to be Miss Ellison at this house, because I've done work before, she's a little hard to deal with.
Plaintiff David Viola says Hooman didn't follow the cancellation policy. He's suing for an unpaid invoice. Defendant Hooman Eddie Mahdi says he doesn't know because David was given proper notice.
You're being paid for snow removal. If it doesn't snow, that means you don't have to do any work, but you're saying he's still supposed to pay you $5,000 every month?
Well, the way a contract works is that...
I know the way contracts work, but that's not what we're here about. We're not here to discuss the way contracts work. We're talking about your contract, your agreement in this case. So tell me about your contract.
Well, if it snows or not, we still get paid.
But it doesn't say that in your contract.
It's per push. This is for, that's per month. If you read it, it says per month.
Sir, your contract includes the cost. It's very specific, snow and salt. Snow plowing all roadways, driveways, and parking areas. Price per push, $485. If you do not push, there is no price. Remove snow from all porches and sidewalks. Price per time, $350. But if you do not do that, there is no $350. Am I correct?
Well, I have to break it down for him, but if at the bottom it states per month, that payment is per month.
This is so ambiguous because nowhere in your contract does it state that if it does not snow and we do no work, because that's a really big thing to have in a contract, because you can have someone on retainer to do snow removal, but you're telling me that this contract meant if you did absolutely no work, you're still supposed to be paid almost $5,000 a month?
Well, let's say we get 50 snowfalls.
You're giving me hypotheticals now? I'm trying to interpret the contract that you drafted.
Right.
I don't want to discuss hypotheticals.
Well, as many snowfalls as we get, so let's say we get 10.
Let's talk about November 21st, when he hired you and paid you $3,000 through December 7th. When do you say is the first time you worked at this property?
We went and did some work about 3 weeks into December. There was ice. It was an icy day, so we went and put salt down on all the sidewalks and some of the roadway areas.
Okay, and that one day in December?
It was about 3 weeks into December, and then a couple days later, I went in to talk to his wife and let her know that we were there that day And that's why if you look outside, you'll notice that it's all melted because we put salt down.
If he came in and did any type of work, which I don't know of any, any salting or anything for the ice, it does not add up to $4,860.
So $3,000 for November when you didn't do anything, and $4,860 for December for that one day you say you had ice and you went over. Because that's how contracts work?
Yeah, the contract is you pay you no matter what, how much snow we get.
But what about all of the price per push? Why aren't you charging him per push?
Because we didn't agree on that.
But that's what's in your contract. I'm reading your contract.
Yeah, that's up at the top. I break it down because
so
everybody...
ambiguous, so ambiguous.
Yeah, every place that
one day of work
you know, ambiguity is construed
$4,000.
against the drafter of a contract. You know that, right? Ambiguity, that's your fault because this is your contract. If you want an unambiguous contract where it is clear that this payment is due no matter what, you need to take out all of these things where you specifically note how much it will cost per push for your time, per hour, these designated areas. That needs to be completely removed. You can have a contract with one paragraph. You are hiring me for my snow removal services. Whether or not you use them or not, this is the monthly fee. That is not what you have here. I don't know why you would agree to pay $3,000 for a month where he did no work, but whatever, that's what you did. In fairness, you were paid $3,000 for the work that you didn't do. And so for the 2 days that you worked in December, don't you think that's more than fair? He's paid you $3,000 and he canceled the contract.
Usually, like for example, when somebody wants to put in their 2-week notice for work, for example, well, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. This is a 30-day, put in 30 days notice.
And they work for 2 more weeks and they get paid for those 2 weeks.
Right.
Judgment in this case is for the defendant.
I learned today in court that there needs to be detailed clarification in contract.
The ruling was definitely justified. There was no snow to be pushed, so there was nobody needed to show up. And the contract stated that we give 30 days out, and we did.
Plaintiff Lanita Ellison says she hired the defendant to do plumbing work in her bathroom, but he cut corners, forcing her to redo the job. She's suing for parts and labor on a botched plumbing job. Defendant Marvin Brown says he doesn't owe because he did everything Lanita paid him to do, and she wanted additional work done that wasn't included in the original quote.
Lanita Ellison?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant Marvin Brown?
Yes, Your Honor.
For $460, a refund for plumbing work he did in your home?
Yes.
So let's start from the beginning and tell me what happened.
Well, I hired someone else to do the work for me, a mutual friend between the two of us, and he brought Marvin along. And he couldn't do the work because of his physical condition. So Marvin ended up doing the work. So
you hired him to do this work?
I did hire him.
What month was that?
December of 2015.
And what did you hire him to do?
He was to replace the bathtub, the old bathtub with the new, with connect to the existing plumbing. Also, he was gonna remove the piping in the bottom of the floor for the sink and bring it from the floor up into the wall with reconnect.
And his total labor was $360?
That was his cost.
That's what he told you it would cost to do that?
Yes.
Are you a licensed contractor?
No, I worked with a licensed contractor who at the time I brought along with me because it was done, we go to church together, so the other church member that's a mutual friend invited me to come out and give her an estimate. But Your Honor, if I had known it was gonna be Miss Ellison at this house, because I've done work before at her house and the same outcome. A little hard to deal with, you know.
Oh, so you didn't know you were going to see Miss Ellison that day?
No, I only heard the address, and when I got out to the place, I said, oh no, I hope the person who owns this house doesn't own it anymore, because I've been out here before. I was supposed to just hang a couple of doors, me and another friend. We ended up having to do the floor too because the foundation was crooked.
Is that true? You worked with him before?
He did do work for me before, and it was the doors, which he messed that up as well.
So neither one of you wanted to work with each other, but you did anyway, is what you're telling me?
Exactly.
Coming up on Judge Faith, how complicated was the plumbing job?
It was going to be like four days at the maximum, just to pull a tub out and put it in.
This job was dragged out for over 60 days.
Plaintiff Lanita Ellison says Marvin destroyed her bathroom. She's suing for parts and labor on a botched plumbing job. Defendant Marvin Brown says he doesn't know because he completed the work Lanita hired him to do.
So you agree that this job will cost $360,
Right,
the parts
exactly.
will be $100. And how many days total do you work to complete this job?
Well, it was going to be like four days at the maximum, just to pull a tub out.
For two people?
Yeah, just to pull a tub out and put it in. You know.
Well, that's not 4 days worth of work.
Well,
you were hired to do more than that, right?
Well, actually, it was originally just the tub. We did the tub, and there were difficulties working on the tub. We pulled it out, and with her charms, Your Honor, you know, I'm a single man, and she's really kind of attractive. So she, Mr. Brown, when you finish, if you could, you know, I want you to take my tub, you know.
That is not true, Your Honor. I don't even address him as Mr. Brown. He is known to me as Marvin and Marvin only.
That's the part of his story you're disputing? That you call him Marvin?
That's over-exaggerating there.
You spend how many days doing this work, sir?
Well, a total of 4 days, but it was only like 3.5 hours a day.
Okay.
It was kind of cold during that time, and there was no heat in there.
So it was only 2 days of work,
Hours,
8-hour
yes,
days.
8-hour days,
And so
correct.
what ends up happening? Why are we here?
This job was dragged out for over 60 days. It started in December. It ended somewhere around in February. It was a big problem all the way around, even with the bathtub, because he messed that up. The bathtub sits one-sided, and then he said he needed plywood, and he used particle board. So he charged me for that, and he didn't even use the parts.
But you only gave him $100 for parts.
I bought the parts.
So why are you suing him for parts?
Because he didn't return to me my parts. This is a picture of what I wanted him to do. I wanted him to remove the pipe from the floor and bring it up into the wall so that a vanity cabinet could fit against the wall. So when I went over there to see what he has done, that's what I got. So where's all the new parts that I have bought?
Is this mid-project?
This is the final project.
Why is there a hole in the floor?
May I walk up? May I walk up?
Sure.
Okay.
Because he had to tear up the towel.
The original plumbing was here. The knobs that turn the water on, these knobs here that turn the water on, were on the floor. We had to tear up the floor in order to cut the metal pipe, which we didn't know at first. But she wanted it behind the wall. If you put it behind the wall, there's a room here. The wall is only so wide. If you notice, right here it's called a firewall. Stops you from letting anything go up the wall. This plumbing, we took it up originally here, but then I told we can't raise it up any higher because of the firewall. So what we did, we ran another piece of plumbing to bring it out away from the firewall to send it up another 3 inches, so a total of 17 inches from the floor.
And so did you mix old parts and new parts to do that?
We had to, in order to get the plumbing to run the way we wanted, in order to have it away from the wall and also be able to sit the sink down on it.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
So he worked on 2 things, the bathtub and the plumbing under the sink. Do you have proof that you paid someone else to come in and redo his work?
Yes, Your Honor, and I could also show you the proof where the work was done.
And are you aware that someone else came in and worked on this?
Well, I wasn't aware that someone else had came in because I didn't hear from her after we finished the tub. And I want to say this up front. When we took out the cast iron tub, it's larger than the new fiberglass tubs. There was 6 to 8 inches on each side of the wall that needed to be moved. So if you moved it to the left 6 inches, the plumbing that comes out, that you turn the faucet, it's off-center. So you'd have to make it fit.
So you had to do a lot more work, you're saying, on the tub than you originally thought,
and
then
not
this
only
was an
that,
added-on
when we pulled
job.
the tub out, we found out the floor at the bottom of the foundation was bad. So we redid the total foundation, putting new joists under the bottom of that tub.
Is that true, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. This is your evidence, handwritten receipts?
That's what I paid the new guy to do the repair.
Bottom line, if you're going to come in and sue someone and you want them to return the money because they didn't do a good job on your plumbing work, I need to see a true receipt, something that I know came from this plumber, something on a letterhead. The receipts you gave me, anyone can buy those from a dollar store and fill those out and say, oh yeah, these are receipts that I paid a new plumber. Do you even have a work order showing what this new plumber did, the work that the new plumber did? Do you have an invoice? Do you have an affidavit stating he had to come in and pull out old pipes and redo plumbing because the work wasn't done properly? You don't have any of that. But what I do have testimony is that he did $460 worth of work in your home. I do have that testimony. Verdict in this case for the defendant.
Well, you should be happy. Because you know you screwed me.
I hope you come back to church.
Former friends battle over an unpaid loan to help keep an Atlanta restaurant open for business.
Clarence will have my chef make him specialty things because they kind of like knew what was going on, that he had loaned me some money.
I have cleaned tables, I have washed dishes, I have helped him serve, I have dumped trash, I've swept floors. I've done a lot of things because he was my friend and I wanted to see him succeed.
Since 2013, you're telling me he has showed up at Mojo's Motown Eatery and eaten for free.
And later, a Missouri pet owner with an expensive vet bill demands payment from the dog rescue that sold her a teacup chihuahua that suddenly got sick.
I don't understand how she can give me a health guarantee when the dog has no vaccinations.
I have a text where she said he was happy and he was healthy because I always check on my dog.
You pay $600 for the dog. Turbo got sick 2 days after.
Plaintiff Clarence Wells Jr. says he loaned his former friend money to help pay rent and buy supplies. He's suing for loans and fees. Defendant Mario Johnson says he doesn't owe because Clarence ate and drank for free at his restaurant, so that makes them even.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Wells Jr. versus Johnson.
Thank you, Juan. Clarence Wells Jr.
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing the defendant, Mario Johnson,
Yes, I'm here.
for $6,500 you say he owes you for 2 loans in addition to late fees and late repayment fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
How do the two of you know each other, sir?
Well, probably about 2012 to 2013, Mario moved to Atlanta. Mario's older brother and myself are very good friends. And so as a result of Mario moving, I met Mario through his brother.
Where were you moving from?
I was moving from Detroit.
From Detroit to Atlanta?
Yes, Detroit.
And was it for the purposes of opening this business that you opened?
Yes, it was.
Tell me about your restaurant.
Oh, my name is Mario Johnson, so the name of our restaurant is Mojo's Motown Eatery. It's an acronym of my name, Mojo. So
I got that part.
Okay, you got that part. Some people don't, you know.
Okay.
So I started the restaurant in 2008 back home in Detroit. So I did it there for 3 years, and then when I moved to Atlanta in 2012, I opened up one here in 2013.
And that's Mojo's Motown Eatery?
Yes, it is.
What kind of food do you serve at this restaurant?
We specialize in stuffed cheeseburgers. It's a stuffed cheeseburger with mushrooms, bacon, and cheese cooked on the inside of the burger.
Okay.
And then also we have the biggest extra large potato in Atlanta.
And where is this located exactly?
It's located on...
I'm just curious. I'm asking for Juan wants to know.
It's located on MLK and on the college campus by Morehouse, Clark, and Spelman.
Great location.
Yes, great location.
Okay, let me see the photos.
That's the outside of the restaurant.
Okay.
Inside.
That's the burger.
Yes, that's the...
Is that light bread? You don't use a bun?
No, just to be a little different, I use Texas toast.
So you named the restaurant the Motown Eatery part of the restaurant was because you're from Detroit?
Yes. We used to play Motown music there, but because of the location, it's a college area, they don't really care for that old school music, so...
So now y'all playing Jay-Z and Drake?
Yes. So, yeah, we do. Each one of the burgers some names are Motown, are named after the burgers. Like I have a B. Gordy bacon cheeseburger, which is named after Berry Gordy. I have a Temptation turkey burger. I have a Marvin Gaye burger, which is an M. Gaye burger, because Zeola Gaye, Marvin Gaye's sister, had came into the restaurant. And when she came in there, I didn't have anything on the menu with Marvin Gaye name on it.
And you call yourself a Motown?
I know, that's what she said too. After she told me which was his favorite food, which was chili. And so that's how I created that burger with the chili.
Do you work in the restaurant every day?
Yes.
It's hard. People think opening a restaurant is easy, but it's really not.
It really is.
It's one of the fastest ways to lose money if you don't know what you're doing.
Actually, right now, 3 restaurants on my block have closed down, so.
3?
Yeah, I'm trying
but
to
you're still hanging in there?
I'm hanging in there.
Mojo's Motown Eatery is still there?
Mojo's Motown Eatery is still there.
So you say he approached you. Tell me about the conversation the two of you had about this money.
So Mario had began to talk with me about the possibility of going into partnership with him. And so I agreed to loan him the money.
Okay, did the two of you put that in writing?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
May I see that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand you loaned him $2,000 initially, and then there was another $2,000 loan after that one?
Yes, ma'am, correct. And I have both documents here for
Let
you.
me see those. So 2 years went by, you had not been paid anything for the first loan?
Correct, yes, Your Honor.
And you loaned another $2,000?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Why?
Coming up, the former friends disagree about the loan repayment.
When Mr. Johnson approached me about the second loan, I flat out refused it.
I said, I know I owe you a couple of more $100.
So I'm asking you, how much do you say you paid him?
And later, a teacup chihuahua suddenly gets sick, and now his owner wants the expensive vet bill paid.
Turbo was seemed fine.
She presented me with a healthy dog.
You know that the dog was sick.
Plaintiff Clarence Wells Jr. says Mario is taking advantage of his kindness. He's suing for loans and fees. Defendant Mario Johnson says he doesn't owe because Clarence was paid back in free food and drink.
So you're saying he didn't pay anything on the first loan, nothing at all?
No, ma'am, he hasn't.
Do you say you did?
Initially, Clarence did help me out when I was on hard times, and I came and I asked him for the money. So how I came
So I'm asking you,
okay,
how much do you say you paid him?
Okay, I paid him, $2,000, almost like $2,000.
On the first loan?
Yes.
Okay,
so when I went back to him...
And you have no proof of that?
I don't have any proof of it because of financial situations. I lost some things, and I don't have any proof of it right now.
So you had proof, but you lost it?
Okay, so I gave Clarence money here.
No, what happened? Why don't you have your proof?
Because
you moved locations.
Yes,
Why?
I ended up getting... It wasn't evicted, but another restaurant came in, so that kind of like got bought out, so.
Wait, you said you got shot?
Yes, I did. The first week that I had opened up the restaurant, I was set up. Somebody followed me home, and I got shot. They shot me 3 times, aimed at me in the stomach. Well, they shot at me, and 3 bullets caught me in the stomach.
How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital about a month.
Who found you?
Actually, my son. He came back, yeah.
So
it was
horrible.
the way it was set up, and they knew my game plan for when I went home.
Did you move locations after that?
Yes,
after
that's
you were
what
shot?
I'm getting up to.
Okay, so you changed locations a 3rd time, which is where you are now.
Yes, it's the 3rd time.
And you changed locations because you thought your safety.
Yeah, because I just didn't feel safe there anymore.
At issue.
So, yeah.
Because of what happened.
Yes.
I don't blame you.
So then that's where the second loan came in, because I went to Clarence and I was like, hey, Clarence, I got this other building. I need $2,000 more. I said, I know I owe you a couple of more $100.
Do you have any of this in writing?
I don't have it in writing.
You're saying that conversation never happened?
No.
Because you know why that makes sense to me? Because it really doesn't make sense why you would loan someone $2,000 if they already owed you $2,000.
When Mr. Johnson approached me about the second loan, I flat out refused it. I told him no because he hadn't paid me any of my money from the first loan.
You say you paid this money back in other ways, too. Tell me about that.
He came to the restaurant, he was eating, drinking every day, every other day, or when he always come through. Clarence always, ever since I've had every restaurant I've had, Clarence have never
So
paid.
since 2013, you're telling me he has showed up at Mojo's Motown Eatery
Yes.
and eaten for free?
Yes.
How many burgers do you say he's consumed over the past 2 years, sir?
A lot. $2,000.
$2,000 worth?
$2,000 worth.
That's so ludicrous. That is so ludicrous.
Was he eating turkey burgers or regular burgers?
It depended on how he was feeling. Some days he would come in and felt like he wanted to lose weight, so he would eat the turkey burger. Clarence will have my chef make him specialty things because they kind of like knew what was going on, that he had loaned me some money and everything like that. So they kind of like treated him with special privileges too when he came in. So that's why they know.
So you would walk in, but you never pay for anything, right? You never
That's
pay
not
for food?
correct, Your Honor. I have paid for food at Mario's restaurant. I have also, Your Honor, walked into Mario's restaurant when it has been slammed. I have cleaned tables, I have washed dishes, I have helped him serve, I have dumped trash, I have swept floors. I've done a lot of things because he was my friend, and I wanted to see him succeed.
Yes.
But it got to the point to where he not paying me, I wanted my money back.
I believe you owe for the second loan. You said that you didn't pay it back, but he ate like a king in your restaurant.
Yes.
But you're not able to tell me how many burgers he ate, and I'm not going to guess how many.
I said,
okay,
so it should be an even swap.
Right, but I don't find that to be accurate.
Yes.
That you think he ate the exact amount of the loan. The first loan, I'm not convinced that he paid you nothing for this loan because Mr. Johnson has come in here. He said, I didn't pay him anything on the second loan. It didn't happen. I do not think he would come in and perjure himself and say that he paid you money without ever paying you a dime. So I'm going to credit his testimony on that. And because of the circumstantial evidence in the case, the fact that you loaned him money the second time, and that there's no mention of this second loan in this contract. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to order you, sir, to pay the full amount of the second loan in addition to $500 for the first loan, in addition to 6% interest on both.
Do I get any of my money back for the food he ate?
So that is a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor in the amount of $2,650, judgment for the plaintiff. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
There's no way possible that I could have eaten $2,000 worth of burgers. I probably have had the burgers twice since I've been there. I usually always get the potatoes.
I think the judge ruling was very accurate, and I'm glad she ruled the way she did. I think it was accurate. And I also would like for her to come to Atlanta and to visit my restaurant and try the M-Gay cheeseburger.
Plaintiff Nicole Amos says the defendant sold her a puppy with parvo, and now she wants the vet bill paid. She's suing for the cost of a puppy and vet bills. Defendant Pam Ledbetter says she doesn't owe because Turbo wasn't sick when he left her care, and her contract states vet bills won't be paid. She's accompanied in court today by her daughter, Cherry Muskell.
Nicole Amos?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant, Pam Ledbetter,
Yes, ma'am.
for $2,869, the cost of a puppy and over $2,000 in vet bills.
Yes,
you
Your
believe
Honor.
she owes you. So I understand this case involves, is it the puppy that you're holding now?
This puppy here, yes.
Okay, what's the name of your dog?
His name's Turbo.
Turbo? Okay, tell me what's going on here, why you brought this lawsuit. Dog's adorable.
Around May 26th, I had lost a Chihuahua of 16 years, a year prior, so I decided it was time to get another puppy. And I started my search for the Chihuahua. I came across him, and I came across Miss Ledbetter.
Was it an ad that you saw online, or?
Yes, it was a ad on puppyfind.com.
Okay.
I contacted Miss Ledbetter through text message, and then I made a phone call to her.
Okay, and how much was she selling the puppy for?
$600.
May I see the ad that was on Puppy Finder?
Sure.
Now, are you going to hold Turbo the entire case? Or
I can put him back.
Okay. Juan can hold Turbo if you want to.
Yeah.
Is he going to be okay? So this is the ad, $600, and so you did buy the dog?
I did.
Okay.
When I contacted her on the phone, she explained to me that she's a doctor, so that's kind of what eased me from buying the dog.
What do you mean she told you I'm a doctor?
She told me she was a doctor.
Okay, are you a doctor?
Doctor of psychology.
Are you a dog breeder?
No, I'm not. I take in animals to help people that need animals and also keep them out of the shelters. The shelters are full, but the little Chihuahua does not do well in a shelter.
How long have you been rehoming dogs?
Since 1990.
So a long time. You end up buying the dog. You paid $600 for the dog, and you said that Turbo got sick 2 days after.
I had brought him home. He started not eating and drinking. I tried to force feed him and force liquids down him. Sunday, he started vomiting, and he threw up a worm.
Okay.
And this wasn't like a little bitty worm. This was a worm like this size, curled up, and very much alive. I mean, it was the size of him. She had told me that she wormed him twice.
So what happened when you took him to the vet? What did the vet say?
Coming up on Judge Faith, the health guarantee is disputed.
Well, the health guarantee usually states that they'll replace the dog with one of equal value.
But this is not a case where it's an issue of dog replacement because the dog lived.
Plaintiff Nicole Amos says Pam sold her a puppy with parvo. She's suing for the cost of a puppy and vet bills. Defendant Pam Ledbetter says she doesn't owe because her contract states vet bills won't be paid.
I took him into the ER, which is more expensive than a vet.
What happened?
She told me that she wanted to test him for parvo.
And did he test positive for parvo?
He tested positive for parvo.
How much did you spend on vet bills?
$2,200, somewhere around there.
Did the two of you enter into a written agreement about Turbo?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it? So you sold Turbo at 8 weeks?
Yeah, Turbo seemed fine.
Did he have any shots or anything prior to that?
He's not allowed to have him until he's 12 weeks because he's a Chihuahua.
Okay, so no shots.
No shots.
But you said in your ad that the health of the dog was guaranteed, health guarantee.
Right, that I would replace the dog, yes.
Had the dog exhibited any signs of being sick
healthy.
prior to you selling
I
him?
have a text where she said he was happy and he was healthy because I always check on my dogs.
Do you have anything from a vet that states that this dog was sick 2 days prior?
I do.
Okay. Well, here's the most important part, I think, of her diagnosis here. She states in this letter to the court that, in reference to parvo, the onset of clinical signs for this virus is 6 to 10 days after exposure. Therefore, in her professional opinion, Turbo had already contracted the virus at the time he was adopted. But here you have a contract, because the law, and I know people love their pets and they treat them like their children, but under the law, dogs are viewed as property. And you have a contract here, and the first line of the contract states that you signed, I'm not responsible for any vet bills. Now, why did you sign that?
Well, she presented me with a healthy dog. On that piece of paper I gave you in her ad, it says a health guarantee. I don't understand how she can give me a health guarantee when the dog has no vaccinations. And my vet tells me that the parvo was already in him when I bought him.
Who are you, ma'am?
I'm Cherry Moskal. I'm the defendant's daughter.
Okay, why don't you step up? Tell me what you have to add to this case. What do you have to say about the professional opinion of this doctor that Turbo had contracted parvo before he was sold?
Well, the health guarantee usually states that they'll replace the dog with one of equal or of value.
But this is not a case where it's an issue of dog replacement because the dog lived. You know that the dog was sick. There was a health guarantee made, and although you say you're not responsible for vet bills, you presented a presumably healthy dog that turned out not to be healthy.
Well, if you look further down, I mean, the dogs can contract it anywhere at any time and get sick at any time.
Right, but the issue is you can't sell a dog that has parvo that could die a few days later.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to order you to give her the $600 back that she paid for the dog. I do not think that you intentionally and knowingly sold a sick dog.
Thank you.
But the fact is, the dog was sick.
That's right.
And I have a letter from a medical professional stating that they believe the dog was sick at the time that she purchased the dog. I know that there's an argument on the opposite end of that spectrum, that in 2 days that she had the dog could have contracted parvo, the dog didn't have vaccinations, and you don't know where the dog was, who else the dog was around, or if the dog was around any other animal. So I understand that side of the argument as well. That's why I'm making the judgment that I am in the plaintiff's favor for a total of $1,500. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think her verdict was fair. I just wanted Dr. Pam to be held accountable for something. She did sell me a sick dog.
I don't feel like that I intentionally sold a sick puppy. I don't do things like that.